if you want get time, then we don't see other things. So first we'll see the Docker part only. First of all, how to download a Docker and what are the available things in a Docker. Then while we download, I will explain the Docker thing. Okay, Docker for Windows. Okay, so this is a documents.docker, and you can get a download also. This is Docker desktop. Okay, so this is a Docker desktop on Windows. We download a Docker desktop on Windows. Hyper-V backend and Windows containers. Like this is without Hyper-V. If you don't have Hyper-V, like a Home Pro or Education, the build version is must be higher than this one. So our build version is already higher than this one, so you can download this requirement. Okay, so we need a virtualization for a thing, and 4 GB RAM is required. 64-bit processor is required with a VTX kind of stuff. Okay, so Hyper-V background means if you have Hyper-V, then you can able to go for this one also. This is for everyone. Those who are higher than this one, build version higher than this one. Those who are not have hyper, those who are having Hyper-V means professional enterprise kind of stuff, not home people. Okay, so then this is one. Okay, so first one is this is for all Windows 10 people who are having higher than this one. So they have to do these settings. So those who are not having a Hyper-V feature. Okay, those who don't want to use a Hyper-V or they are not having Hyper-V. Okay, Windows 10 higher than build version this one, that is you have to go for this one. So you have to go to Linux kernel update package. So like Linux kernel will be that virtualization kernel will be loaded, and then on top of Docker will be run. I will explain what is Docker. This is people are using a professional enterprises build version higher than this one, so they can able to go for it. Okay, so go for it. Like you want to use Hyper-V, you are already using Hyper-V, you can go for it. Okay, next one is Docker Toolbox. Okay, what is this Docker Toolbox? Earlier till date, I use Docker Toolboxes only. Why? Because of my Windows 10 earlier I used, that is a older version, so not compatible version. Okay, so you can go to that Docker Toolbox. Okay, and download a Docker Toolbox. Then also we'll get a Docker. Okay, and we'll get a Oracle VirtualBox for virtualization support. For to whom this one? So Windows 10 uh, given a addition, right? So here it is. People who don't have a Hyper-V or people who are using build version lesser than Windows 10 build version lesser than this one. Okay, so for the people, this Docker Toolbox is work like a 7, 8, Windows 10 Home or Windows 10 with build version is lesser. Okay, mm, so those people, this is very helpful. Here we have to check it is what is Windows 10, 64 or not. But compulsory virtualization must be enabled. Virtualization must be enabled in 64-bit only. Okay, this one. Second one is you can download Docker directly in a Linux also. If you have a Linux operating system, then full GUI mode virtualization is enabled. Then also you can able to download. Okay, here I have a installed Docker desktop on Windows 10. So this is a Docker desktop. Just click it here. You can download. Okay, so yeah, it is starting. It will download automatically. Earlier days, to go to this Docker desktop, you have to log into Docker. Now it is not required also. I will explain how Docker works. Okay, same thing. Docker desktop install. So almost it is a 500 MB, 525 MB. Let it download. And this is a Docker toolbox. Okay, how this Docker works, then we will understand what is the difference between these two things. Okay, so I need a paintbrush. Your system will get slow after installing or while installing Docker, so don't worry. Guys, we'll go to the starting point. What is that starting point? You have a PC and you want to run some application in your PC. What are the requirement? So to run the application, first anyway hardware is required and operating system is required. On top of operating system only, we are running an application. So why we need these two things to run an application? Because hardware resources are required, CPU, RAM requirement is there, right? So hardware processing requirement is there, of course. Then why we need operating system? To run or support an application, so we need an operating system. What an operating system will provide few things. For example, runtime environment. Okay, it will provide runtime environment. What is a runtime environment? Means Java runtime environment, .NET environment in Windows. Okay, so also Win32 environment. Okay, so like that. So different environments, libraries, environments will support to the to run an application. Maybe all application not required everything, but some applications required. Okay, depends upon your operating system, like Windows or Linux. It is so certain application required one kind of libraries and their application. To we have to use application, right? To run the application, to use the application, the operating system environment is important. So operating system environment support application. For example, if I want to install Oracle 11G, okay, so in a Linux operating system, in minimal in command line, we can't install. Why? Because of 11G, we have to install using a GUI interface only, not command line interface. We can't use the command line interface. Okay, so we need a GUI certain interface is required. So I found that interface also, no problem. But see that is a operating system is providing that one. A GUI environment, desktop environment, shortcuts. Next one is to run an application. What is a requirement mainly like their runtime environment, application supported like a Java, .NET, or uh, that operating system related basic things should be supported to run application. Application don't have these things. It's just application said to run. I need this kind of environment. Then operating system provide that environment to run the application. Okay, the first one you should understand this one. Okay, so it required hardware resources and operating system environment to run the application. Of course, this application is for example, I don't want to install application in my physical PC. For example, I am installed my NetBeans here, or I installed Jenkins here, I installed a GitHub here in my virtual machine. Okay, I don't want to install in my physical machine. So what I done, I created a virtual machine. I created a virtual machine, right? Virtual machine also consumes hardware resources, right? For our physical hardware resources only consuming virtualized way. Second, I have to install operating system. In just this example, I installed Windows 10. I installed Windows 10. Then I installed Java. Then I installed Git. Okay, and I install Jenkins, Marvin, like that, right? So think about only one application here, like for example Jenkins. So what I have done, instead of installing in physical machine, I install in my virtual machine. Instead of installing in physical machine, I install in virtual machine. Now, may I install directly in virtual machine? No. I install first operating system, then environment, required environment, and install the application, right? So now what will happen? To run this operating system, to run the operating system, we need a RAM and we need a processor. We need a processor. So this button on our hardware, right? Understand? You're running an operating system. So application is next. First, you have to install operating system. Installing operating system, first button. Second, running the operating system and applications entirely. It is on your physical resources consumption is high, like that, right? So how to avoid this one? So we'll go to the first point. So what is the second point I told? So you created a virtual machine, and in virtual machine you install operating system, then you install a application. So this operating system and application will consume your hardware, and our main point is application, not operating system. Our main one is application, not a operating system. So here, so our main thing is your operating system. Sorry, our main thing is application, to run application, not operating system running, but it is consuming our resources. Operating system consuming the in virtual machine, operating system consuming our resources. Okay, so I have to give more burden on this one, right? So yeah, where it is, yeah, it is downloaded successful. Okay, operating system. Next. Because it's become clumsy, so I will go to another solution. So what happening here, when I run an application, so it is running an operating system. Operating system is in virtual machine, and overall it is consuming our resources. If I have to run that application multiple times, then also it is big. So I have to run this same application in a multiple PCs, and this is also will take more thing, right? So this is also having operating system, and this is also having application, and it consumes resources from here. So my resources are consuming more than what is my target of requirement. So that is important. So for that one, this Docker engine is helpful. This is a Docker engine. It's nothing but a engine only. Okay. This Docker engine provide container virtualization. Okay. So what is this Docker will do? Docker is providing container virtualization. Simply think, container means a folder. Container means, simply think, it's just like a folder. In this folder, I have an application and a required libraries, like that. Okay. And this system already having an operating system and hardware is there. This container virtualization, what it will do, it create a container. It create a container. In the container, we have application and required libraries are there. It use your operating system kernel. It use operating system kernel to run application on a hardware. It use your operating system kernel. Here, it use their own kernel to run application on a hardware. They have their own operating system, and operating system kernel will interact with here. But here in this one, you don't have any extra operating system, just an application, and application use your operating system environment and kernel, so it will interact with this one only. Here is one thing is important to understand. If you are using a Linux based operating system, okay, if you are using Linux based operating system, Okay, you're running an application container here, and it use the application running on Linux kernel only. If you are using Windows, your application running on Windows kernel base only. So you have to be careful where you are running. But in generally, this Docker effect provide Linux kernels only. So as extra layer, and if you are using Windows, there is extra layer of Linux kernel is there. Based on this only, it will run. It may give you confusion. Don't worry. We'll go to other terminologies, but understand what is container virtualization. The container virtualization is a virtual one only, but it is not like a our traditional virtual machine. Means installing operating system and application in the virtual machine, and application and operating system consuming our hardware resources. But in Docker, the you don't need to create any virtual machine. You don't need to create any virtual machines. Just you have to create an image and you have to create a container on it. So the container contains an application and the required library environments, and it runs on your operating system, and it will interact with your hardware through your operating system kernel only, not separate kernel. It interact with your operating system kernel only. Through your operating system kernel, it is interact with your hardware. When you go to the actual website of Docker, so you can see what is the Docker means. Build a lot of things is showing. No, it's not Docker. Simple only Docker, not Dicker. Docker. So when you go to the Docker, and you can see here, docker.com, you can see one thing here: build, deploy, and transfer type. So build, share, run kind of stuff is showing now. Okay. So what is this build and all? So if you want to build an application and you want to run an application, you want to ship the application. Okay. So you want to distribute the application, so you can use the Docker. Now first we will see how to install the Docker. So already I downloaded and keep it here, right? This is a Docker install. Directly I'm installing from shared file. Actually, I have to install a what I have to install. It's I have to install before I install Docker. I have to install Hyper-V. Okay, why we need a Hyper-V? We'll see this one. This is a container virtualization. So it is anyway it is a virtualization part only. So you have to give a layer between your operating system hardware to this container thing. So we need a virtualization. Anyway, like you are running a virtual machine and there is a layer between your operating system and hardware to virtualization, right? So to virtualization purpose, we need a virtualization software is required. So either you can use VMware, sorry, Oracle. You can use Oracle VirtualBox if you don't have or you don't want your I think okay. So if you have a Hyper-V, you can use Hyper-V. Install if you install Hyper-V, and it use Hyper-V virtualization hypervisor virtualization thing. This Docker will run directly on your Hyper-V. If you don't have Hyper-V, you can install VirtualBox, and on VirtualBox it will create a virtual machine, and it create a it run on that virtual machine. Okay, it is again little bit complex, but I will tell that one. Next, if you are using Linux, the Linux by default it is also providing KVM, QEMU virtualization platforms. Okay, so if you are using Linux kind of stuff, you have a KVM and QEMU Linux virtualization platform. It runs directly on your hardware. Okay, so there is a kernel barrier is there, no? So that will be yes. Almost it is a second or third time I'm installing Docker desktop. Initially, I install always Docker Toolbox only because Before your batch, I use Enterprise Windows 10 older build version only. So I don't update it. So then it is in still hold on. You can check your build version by go to the settings, let it go on. Otherwise, just better to close unnecessary things. Not responding. Let it go. Go to settings, system. Guys, afternoon and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, everybody should be attend. If you people think like I can do in my home, I have a some other work. This is just a class. I will watch a video. So most it is theory parts. I will do it in a different way. So this is the latest version. You can see build version is 19042. So obviously it is a latest version compared to what it is required. So my point is theory, examples, lengthy things, better to take class directly instead of videos. If I am record the main points only, I will record it. Okay, examples are one or two things, but explanation and other kind of stuff it is not good for you. Okay, so install required Windows components for WS2. Add a shortcut to desktop. So why it is WSL is a it is a Linux layer will be installed on your PC because I don't have a Hyper-V. Otherwise, install Hyper-V first and then install this one. So what I do, I will try to install a Hyper-V. Okay, because I can install Hyper-V. How to install Hyper-V? Go to control panel, large icons, programs and features. Then go to turn features on or off. We'll see. We'll try. Now I selected Hyper-V here, and it is when I selected this one, automatically all boxes are selected. First box is selected, like these boxes are selected, and if these boxes you are unable to select it, if you are unable to select it, it means you didn't add those three lines. Do you remember three lines and check marks? That is you are not done. The direct container things also came up. See, containers, Windows 10 container kind of stuff. If you want container kind of stuff, I'll directly can able to connect. So I'm not doing that one now. So anything in future if you are installed, so mostly it will ask for a restart. That too Hyper-V compulsory restart is required. And Windows 10 Enterprise I'm using evolution version, and also it is the latest build 20H2. Okay, and Hyper-V feature is there. I added a check mark and three lines. So then I can able to install it. So I will install first Hyper-V and then I will try to install Docker type. Okay. So meanwhile I will explain this how it is function also. So Docker Toolbox, if you understand Docker Toolbox, you will understand this one also. Okay, Docker need a Docker toolbox. For example, this is your machine, either it is whatever virtual machine or whatever it is. It's your main machine. So here you install a Docker. You install a Docker. So Docker will be installed in your PC only. So Docker, Docker engine, Docker machine, and everything. But this Docker need to interact with your operating system and hardware. So Docker is not having that facilities. So what did we do? Okay, Docker cannot interact with your hardware operating system and hardware because your Windows operating system Docker is Linux kernel basis only. So you need a kernel barrier, means virtualization platform is required to run your Docker, to run Docker commands. That too, it is a Linux based commands. It need a interactive thing. Okay, so in enhanced mode it will work. It means it's look like running on your physical machine, but actually runs in a backend virtual machine. So this is a virtual machine. Inside there's a Docker related operating system, Linux based operating system will run here. So it is a Linux operating system. So with the Docker application installed, this is your virtual machine. This Docker actually running all the commands, store the information in this virtual machine only. This virtual machine running in your physical machine. So normally VM sorry, Oracle VirtualBox provide that application, provide this environment to run the virtual machine. So this virtual machine is running. Your Docker commands, what you put in a commands, the images, containers runs in this virtual machine only. Okay. So this finally the virtual machine is running on your physical machine. So this is a Docker toolbox. This is Docker toolbox work like this. And now when I installing my Docker engine, so what it is asking, install WSL2. Okay. So what is this WSL2? It create a kernel layer on our operating system. So this is create a space or a small virtual machine type. It is Linux kernel. Actually, it is creating that space, creating like a virtual machine or something like that. A layer is there. So this Docker runs in this layer, and this one runs on our hardware. Okay, so it is runs on our, it consumes hardware. So Docker directly not working with your Windows operating system. If you are using Linux operating system, it works directly. If you are using Windows operating system, so it is don't work directly with your operating system. So it needs something. So it's useless. Earlier in Docker Toolbox, it use a virtual machine which contains a Linux operating system and a Docker related things. Okay, so it use this one to, it runs in this virtual machine, but commands are we are typing in Windows machine only, but actually it runs inside this virtual machine through this virtual machine running on our physical machine, right? Okay. Next, if you are using a Docker desktop, if you are using a Docker desktop, it is asking to install this one. So once you are install this one, what happening? It is installing or not? No, it is required restart. Yes, your thing will be closed automatically. Don't worry. Okay, so it is interacting like this. So this is the future. It will add from application Docker desktop application. This will be added, and it will run on your PC as just like a virtual space. It will consume. Okay, so these Docker commands run on this WSL2, and those are running here, and it is in this one, and it is interact with your hardware like this. So it is not running directly on your PC. So your PCs are more safe because it's not running directly, of course. Now why I am installing Hyper-V? Now I am installing Hyper-V. Why Hyper-V? Hyper-V provide virtualization environment directly instead of creating something. Okay, and so because I am using a Windows 10, so I use Hyper-V. I try to install Hyper-V first. So I want to run this Hyper-V anyway. It is running on your hardware only. So this Docker runs in this virtualization environment. Okay, and the Docker related things use this virtualization environment, and it is run on our hardware. So this is the three things. Okay, so if you are using a Linux main machine with virtualization part, full version is required. Okay, then if you are download and install Docker directly, you can install Docker. Just you have to search how to install it. So this is a Linux virtualization platform directly in the physical machine, so you can use it. Of course, the check marks and all everything is required. Next thing is, okay, let it go on. It will take time. So what is this containers or images? This is a image. Image won't do anything. Image contains the files. This image contains files. Image contains just files like application files, libraries, everything is there in inside a image only. Just it's an image. You don't do anything. You don't do anything. Just it's an image. Next container. These containers we can multiple containers we can create on a single image. Multiple containers we can create on a single image. So what are the image data will be show at a container? Okay, image data shows in this container. For example, this is a container 1, container 2, so container 3, container 4. So this is a image. On this image we are created a different containers. So we are accessing these containers only. We don't access image directly, we access the containers. For example, this image is belongs to CentOS. This is CentOS 7 container. And I create sorry image. Image is CentOS 7 image, just image. And I created a container. So this is a one container, this is another container. So I'm running with one terminal, another running. So whatever the commands I put it, the commands will execute in the container. Actually container is like that. It's a process execution purpose on, like you are executing the commands, or you are working, or you are putting some things there. So that is you are executing a command here. Okay, now this is another container. It means what are the image contain files is running here. Containers are for running. Okay, images are for storing. You store information there, you store application, or you store operating system supporting files, storing, and you are running that one. So the run is nothing but a container part. So run with the container. Okay, you do the requirements, and if you can create multiple containers also, we can create multiple containers also. This a lot of explanations are there, so that's why I am telling these stories. Again, same thing. This is a image. Here, for example, I build a web application. So for my website related application is there. So this is my web application. It means a web server application. So the application part of web server and including web server. It contains a web server, and it contains a web server, different websites are, no? It contains a web server and also web applications, web data, everything is there. Okay, now I created a container on it. So I created a container. I created a container. So for example, container name is C1. Now client is getting services from me. Client get a website. Client is accessing web from the container. The website is accessing from the container. Now I got a multiple clients. I got a multiple clients. So these clients are accessing website from the container. Okay. If I want to change, like a new pages came, then I will connect it to image, and I will change inside the image only. Obviously, the change will occur at container, and container, through container, public people are accessing web server, right? Now traffic is increased. Traffic is start increasing. Traffic is increasing. So we can increase number of containers also. You can increase number of containers depends upon your traffic. If you deploy multiple containers, means traffic will be distributed to others, right? Traffic will be distributed. So traffic is from here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here, like this. Traffic is distributed among these containers. So I can balance the load on the container. So advantage of using Docker, first of all, it won't we are don't using virtual machines here. No need to install operating system. We are not using virtual machines. We are installing any operating system here. So one second guys, this is up or running. Okay. So we are not using any virtual machines, or we are not using any kind of. I'm doing in virtual machine, so then I will want to keep this thing inside a virtual machine only. So think like that. This machine is a physical machine only. Okay, 4 GB RAM PC. So here it is. I'm not creating virtual machine. I'm installing operating system, and also hardware resources consumption is very less. Okay, so because of I'm not creating any virtual machine or operating system and all, the resource consumption of hardware will become very less. Second, the virtualization achievement here in a container virtualization, so is nothing but you have an image, stable image is there, and we are creating different containers as per the traffic, as per the requirement. We can create multiple containers on the images, and you can delete these containers also. Okay, you can delete these containers if work is completed, or you can keep certain containers and extra containers you can not required. What is this feature? We call it as scale out, scale in. It means as per requirement you can increase number of containers. If load increases, you can increase number of containers. If load decreases, you can decrease the number of containers. You can decrease the number of containers also. Okay, so that is called a scale out, scale in. Okay, the scalable things is possible. Second, another one. Okay, so again I'm repeating point, we are not using virtual machines. We are not need to install operating systems here. Directly you need an image, so we create a containers on the image and we run the containers based on our application or a server or a operating system base. Okay, so hardware resources utilization, because of you are not creating any virtual machine, operating system installation, other applications, supporting applications not there. So that's why hardware resources consumption also reduced. So then you can create more images and we can run more containers. The containers are nothing but a run kind of stuff. Container is like a, it's like a virtual machine, not virtual machine. It is like a virtual machine only. Something it is came. Okay, so hyper-v is installed successfully. You can search for hyper-v, what is running, what is not running and all. Okay, type hyper-v, it is not typing here. So this is our Hyper-V. So this is our machine name, and as like a quick create is a new one. So remaining are same thing as server we seen earlier. This is a new one which is added quick create. Okay. Change installation source. Okay. Virtual machine will run on Windows. Enable secure boot. Local resources. So something it is showing. Oh, quick create. So yes, MSIX package tool environment. This is a new one. That's why better we have to check it. Okay. You have to download this much package for this one. Package environment license terms. Ubuntu. Direct Ubuntu is there, but you have to download these things. 2 GB download. Like you click it, then create a virtual machine means it may be you download that much. This is dev environment. At least we need a more space like this. Okay. We don't do that much. No. I'm closing it. It is running anyway. We have to install the thing, right? So I'm not creating two virtual machine, two videos here. Just try to install directly. Docker desktop. Very simple. Just whatever it is shows. Just next install. That's it. Okay. So meanwhile, guys, I will give you a few suggestions. Any interested candidate, just try those things. One is you can find free websites. Okay. We got it. Add shortcut. Install required component for this one. So if you don't select also okay. Otherwise you can select it if you want. Just click OK. Select everything and install. What will happen? What we required finally, so we have to understand how to download image and how to create a thing. Okay, so I will tell the suggestions later, but we'll go this one. So here, this is Docker Toolbox. This is a Docker. You can go to products, only Docker it is. This is a Docker Hub, is like a GitHub only, just like a GitHub. You can put your own images and also you can access any public images. Okay, some are required a login, some are not required a login. So container runtime, you can see this container distributed Docker engine orchestrated. Okay. Docker toolbox Kubernetes. What is this Kubernetes? So already I told Docker, if in case you can increase manually number of containers, and also you can decrease number of containers based on the demand, right? So if you want to make it as a automation process, okay. So when you do automation thing, like you have to sit tight, and if traffic increases, you have to increase the number of containers. If traffic reduces, then go to reduce the number of things. Manually, you have to do it. You can make it that one as a automation. So you can put a matter like 30%. Now load is running. Suddenly it is keep on increasing to 40 and 50, 60. Suddenly it is start increasing within a 1 hour. Immediately this traffic start increasing. Then what to do? We can use few tools, like one of the tool is Kubernetes microservices. What it will do? Automatically it will create the Kubernetes thing is what it will So when load increases, automatically it create containers. Load decreases, automatically destroy the extra containers. So it balance the load between the containers. That is the use of Kubernetes. This is pricing. Free. Also, you can able to create it. Unlimited public repository. Docker desktop continuous upload. What happened? It is nothing. It is a Docker desktop include Docker engine and Kubernetes. So limited container image request two-factor authentication. Okay, so you can sign up for a free. If you want enterprise purpose like that, depends upon your team, then you can go for things. Two parallel builds, ultimate container images request like this. Usually, this Docker is you can use freely, or you can use with the paid versions, and also you can access the um, container kind of stuff. No, it is not at all listening to me. Okay, the window. Okay, so this is same thing only. You can download it from here also. Play with Docker, Docker Hub. You can sign up Docker Hub. Go to Docker Hub anyway. No need to sign up. So what is the use of sign up into Docker Hub? Okay, or sign into a Docker Hub. We can access we can upload our Docker images, and you can download Docker images also. You can go to explore pricing also Docker Hub. So same thing like here Docker. So this is a see Oracle WebLogic server, Ubuntu, Redis, Mongo, Node, MySQL. Like these are all images only. Some images to download you need a um, things right to need a from officially like you need a sign in. Some are not required. For example, you go to the Ubuntu. So this is a directly command is given. Sometimes you need a login, sometimes it's not required. Okay, and how to do it also, sometimes it will give you guideline also. Okay, it's completed or not? I think I given all the information about Docker. Docker is container virtualization. Docker use your operating system kernel and your operating system your machine hardware. um, Docker in Docker you can run the containers based on image. Image is a just contains a files applications that supporting environment only. Okay, so it is just an image. On image you can able to create containers. Okay, you can connect the container and you can access the containers. Containers are like a running the image. So if you change anything in the container, it is not affected on image. If you change anything, you done anything, you created a file, nothing affected on your image. Image is a stable version. Container for running, you running the process using a image base. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, lot of things you can able to do with the Docker. So like for example, I want to install a Python. I want to install a Jenkins. The Jenkins you are installing and running, right? The same Jenkins you can do in Docker also. Okay, if your machine is not supported for a Docker and still you are more interested in a Docker, no problem. You can go to AWS or Azure kind of stuff. There you can find a Docker kind of stuff also. Still it is unpacking. So how much time it will take to install? Yes, any doubt you can ask me. This is a Docker Hub. You can go to Docker Hub and you can download images from there. Some are required to sign in, some are not required to sign in also. Okay. Docker Desktop also, actually earlier to download Docker Desktop, it is asking for a sign in. Now it is not at all asking for sign in. You can directly download it. So the Docker is for actually for deployment, running, sharing, and there is a platform independent kind of stuff. Of course, we can tell this example in a Docker. For example, I develop an application is the application runs, okay, on a Java environment or something like I create an application in one kind of operating system, maybe in a Windows I created. Now I want to run this application in Linux environment or different operating system. Maybe there is a version issues will be there. So this is Windows 10 Enterprise. Another is a professional, or maybe Windows 8 or Windows 7, or maybe Linux or a Mac or like that. So if you want to run an application which is developed here, but you want to run here. So the base operating system versions or maybe build application environments may be different. Okay, so what how to run the like this? No problem. Just you keep it in a image and post the images here. In image, you have to tell what to do. That's it. It will run based on a Docker engine only. So it is don't worry about what base operating system it is, because the application running inside your application is there in image and it run with a container. So it won't worry about your operating system to run. Even though it is utilize your operating system kernel, but it won't burden on your operating system, means understanding of operating system. Is it completed or not? It will take how much time it will take? Meantime, I told a lot of stories. Nine, it is deploying is going on, deploying, installing components is going on. So it's almost like a final one. Almost 3, 4 packages are there. So when you install a Docker, either in a physical machine, Docker desktop mainly. So either in a physical machine or a virtual machine, better to run as administrator. Oh, it is asking for restart. Okay, so when you shutting down your physical machine or virtual machine where Docker is installed, Docker desktop is installed, so stop Docker services. So tell the Docker don't start the Docker. Restarting. My old version is much better, even it is a slow. It won't do that many things. Okay, so we have to do 1 or 2 commands, then we'll take a break. That's it, because it's already 1:30. So in your interview 3 again, I'm telling tools like a Git, Jenkins, Maven, Docker. So what it is, okay? What is the use? What it is? What is the use? And how to do with it? That is. And currently, of course, in organizations thinking that your artificial intelligence, machine learning, along with that one of the major thing is Devops. Second, cloud. Okay, and one of the major thing is DevOps and cloud. So you must know what is the cloud, and another one is what are there in a DevOps. So like that, you should know the knowledge. Let it go on. So I'm not stopping record also. Any doubts you can ask me, no problem. Regarding DevOps and Docker. Yeah, it's logging. Actually, I plan to install a Docker yesterday evening only. So then we can save some time. But it is not happened that the time is not enough to attending meeting and later again 6 o'clock. Mhm. Okay, so it is successfully installed. Okay, so you can see the Docker thing here like this. Also, you can see, or if you want, you can keep it here. Actually, it should show here. It will show in this one. Not showing, no problem. Right click on Docker desktop. Okay, so run as administrator. So first time we are running, so it will create the background kind of stuff. We'll see in this one. So first time I'm running the Docker in this machine. Now Docker is starting. You can see Docker is starting here. Notification it is shown. Again, it is something. So this is unnecessary thing. So here it is asking run getting started kind of stuff. Try running container. Copy paste this command into terminal that then come back. So just I copy and go to CMD. Already I told better always you do like this. Like run as a administrator. So it won't throw in sometimes may show any images. Just asking to for a download latest update. That is this one. Check for subsystem. think it's based on. We need this one. So MSI package I'm downloading. Yeah, Toolbox is better. Where is my CMD? I open CMD, right? Yeah. This one. So it is asking to put this command now. So I'll put a command docker run 8080 like this. So maybe try to open in a Windows something. 8080 port number. There is some issue in the docker part. No problem. This is images maintaining. You can sign in and you can upload and download the images from remote PC. Okay, this is a development environment. You want starting kind of stuff. This is a Docker desktop, not required. So important thing is a Docker command is running or not. Just type a Docker. That's it. A Docker version. The old version is better. Okay, so it is running. It is showing some commands also. Okay, like this. Docker app builder services volumes attach build commit cp create defer images like that. Okay, pull. Okay, so I put a Docker. I think it is very small window. Background white, text black. No, it is not at all good. Hmm, so something is going on here. Okay, so here is a window. First is Docker version, and it is not understand that one. Just remove this hyphen. This is the Docker version. What Docker you install in your PC? That is a Docker version. Okay. Next, Docker ls Docker images. What images you have? What is this error during default demand in Windows? Why flap kind of stuff? Image. This version, see, just for a time waste purpose. Docker run -it Ubuntu. That is what I showed, right? This. Why it is error during connect. Daemon configuration on Windows. The Docker client must run evaluated privileges to connect. First, this create and open a pop-up engine. It look like some. It's a simple one, and it is they make it as a more complex one. Now it is restarting. But I restart. You can see the bottom, the ship symbol. Hmm. Guys, take a break. Be back at afternoon. Compulsory. ITL I'll start directly. So this Docker, you can see the wall videos. This is really there are change everything. So it's not working. To understand that how to cremate images and all, that is wall videos are there already I told. So go through that one. Okay. Take a break now. Come back at 2:30. Okay. Back at 2:30. Okay, back at 2:30. This is looks like waste.